Hello everybody. Next up we hit the M6 for our last ever visit to Goodison Park, where we'll be hosted by Everton. Kick off on Saturdays at 3 p.m, and whilst the trains are running up that way, they will be subject to a diversion en route, so there's a slightly reduced service which will take a bit longer than usual. Check as ever before you leave. So Everton then. Well, after a first half of the season that followed the collapse of a deal for 777 partners to buy the club, 777 seems to have been the company's bank balance, they were limping along under the stewardship of Sean Dyche, grateful for the existence of Southampton, Ipswich and Leicester in the league. Then they finally got new owners in the form of the Friedkin Group, who had pulled out of negotiations back in August. The second attempt to do a deal went through and the takeover was completed on 19th of December. The new owners got Christmas out of the way, then sacked Dyche. To be fair, the writing must have been on the wall. They'd won just 3 of their opening 20 games before David Moyes returned to Goodison. They promptly won 4 of their next 6, since when they'd become treble chance specialists. They've drawn their last 3 games, 2 all at home to Man United and 1 all away at both Wolves and Brentford. The resemblance to ourselves is mirrored in their league position, which currently places them 15th, with 33 points from 28 games. We have the same number of points, but a goal difference deficit of 12, due to them not having had to face Anthony Taylor quite as much as we have. Obviously, they got stung by the PSR regime last season, and this, together with the continued uncertainty over the ownership, would have contributed to their lack of activity in the transfer market over the winter. There was just the one arrival for Daisy to deal with, that being the lone arrival of Carlos, or Charlie as he is known, Alcaraz. The Argentinian midfielder had a good first start, being credited with an assist, and the winning goal in their 2-1 victory over Palace on his arrival from Brazilian outfit Flamengo. Daisy tells me that there's an option for them to sign the player full-time should he continue to impress. They do have 5 ruled out of contention due to injury. Most prominent of these are Dwight McNeil, one-time Hammers link Armando Brea, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. All 3 attacking options are out until at least the start of April. The supporters do seem to bemoan the loss of Calvert-Lewin in particular, a lot of which is odd, as when fit his record has stayed a long way this side of being termed spectacular. Since they haven't signed too many players, there's not really much to say about them, so let's move on, shall we, to the wild and wacky world of association football. And there's news from the Northwest coming in as Manchester United Supremo Sir Jim Ratcliffe announced the rationale for his latest round of cost-cutting, claiming that had the tea ladies not been let go, the club would have gone bust by Christmas. Meanwhile, in unconnected news, Manchester United Supremo Sir Jim Ratcliffe announced Manchester United's intention to move into a £2 billion new stadium, just up the road from the current theatre of tacky marketing slogans. Rumours that Manchester United Supremo Sir Jim Ratcliffe's Ineos Group is to diversify into the manufacture and distribution of miniature violins as demand up and down the country soars are probably false, but if it does happen, I'm on a percentage, all right, Sir Jim? Meanwhile, the artist's impression of the new stadium was described as iconic by the architectural and design set and as Butlin's Minehead by those of us in the normal thinking world. Let's move on to us then, and yes, yet another match decided by a referee who seems incapable of getting anything right. My old theory about referees called Mike continues to hold water. Here's a funny thing. The FA have spent over a year investigating Paquetá, their inquiries looking presumably at suspicious patterns that might indicate betting irregularities. It's the sort of thing that authorities are constantly on the lookout for with players. However, nobody seems to do the same thing with referees, even though they are, arguably, the one group of individuals within a game who can single-handedly influence results. So nobody is looking for patterns such as the fact that Salisbury has made now no fewer than 5 game-changing refereeing errors against us in the last 3 of our matches he's been in charge in. Or alternatively, nobody's looking at the fact that 6 out of Newcastle's last 7 goals against us were awarded as the result of refereeing errors. Of course, I doubt very much there's any match-fixing involved or anything like that. I'm a great advocate of the principle of Occam's razor, the theory that when there are conflicting possible explanations for a state of affairs, The simplest explanation is usually the likeliest. The inevitable consequence of leaving assessments in the charge of PGMOL rather than an independent body with the power to promote and, more importantly, relegate referees as appropriate is the situation we have now. When every referee on your books is as substandard as they are, it's more likely than not that matches will be decided by blunders. Bad as Salisbury, it's inevitable that you'll mess up on a regular basis. Of course, this argument is regularly rebuffed by PGMOL, who like to portray that everything in the garden is rosy. Witness those Orwellian statistics they churn out about how VAR nearly always gets it right. That's based on them deciding what's right and wrong, of course. Salisbury's brainstorms on Monday night won't make the statistics next time PGMOL decides to blow its own trumpet. Meanwhile, nobody asks the one question that needs asking of PGMOL, which is, if our referees are so brilliant as you claim, doesn't statistics like those relating to Salisbury look just a teensy-weensy bit suspicious and worthy of investigation? You can't have it both ways, guys. Overall, whilst we didn't do enough to win the game, I certainly didn't think we deserved to lose it, and it was irritating in the extreme to go down to a size we were at least the equal of. Let's move on to this weekend, and it's pretty much as you were on the injury front. Antonio is obviously progressing well, and it was good to see him the other night. Fulkrug continues to train, and although it's likely to be a week too soon for him this weekend, expect to return to the bench in coming weeks. Ditto Soufal. Somerville's a bit of a mystery. There are conflicting reports suggesting that he's actually turned down surgery in the belief that his rehab can continue without intervention. Either way, he's got a good few weeks at least before he can return to the squad. So the prediction then. Well, I think we got two pretty evenly matched sides this weekend. Mr. Moyes clearly has them better organised defensively, although they've gotten out of that initial winning burst as evidenced by their recent spree of draws. The reverse fixture finished goalless last year, and whilst I don't expect an identical storyline this time round, I still think that points will be shared. So the £2.50 that I was going to chuck towards Manchester United so they can hire a few redcoats for their proposed Butlins theme park will instead be going on a score draw. Put me down for 1-1 if you will, please, Mr. Winston. Enjoy the game.